Yep, that's more like it. That's kind of what I expected to happen last night in Chicago was a 6-1 Avs win, but we had to wait after a Blackhawks victory over the Avs last night to see a 6-1 win for the Avalanche on the road. Second leg of a back-to-back, and they hammer the team in front of them in the Central Division, the Minnesota Wild. This thing got out of hand in the third period. There were shorthanded goals. There were 2-on-2 goals. There were big saves from Mackenzie Blackwood. It just looked like the Avs, while they got Jonathan Drouin back today, they looked like the better team, Spring.
Yeah, they were motivated, right? Had a bad taste in their mouth last night. And, having Blackwood in net, that's a night and day difference. No offense to Trent Miner. Minnesota's a little banged up. No Kaprizov, no Faber. They're dealing a little bit with what the Avs were dealing with in the early stages of the season, and the Avs took advantage. And that was start to finish skating wise. It was night and day from last night. Look, sometimes it's a real thing. You're going to overlook Chicago, but you're going to get up for Minnesota, and that's sometimes that's what happens. It was tremendous tonight. The want to was there. The skating was there. The goaltending was obviously there. Having Jonathan Drouin back in the lineup did help. That's a Wild team, man, that they are banged up, and man, they've had such a good start to the season, but they're about to enter a stretch here. They got the Knights and the Oilers coming up after a matchup with the Sharks, but it could just be a matter of days here until the Avs pass the Wild in the Central Division standings.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here with the streams. This was not communicated. I think DMAC and Sanford are actively on Twitch right now, but we're actively on everything else. So I apologize, Spring. I wasn't completely paying attention to that. This is what happens when we run too many goddamn shows. This is what happens when we run 7 freaking shows a night, is that no one knows when everyone's going on air.
Altitude After Dark. Are we going head to head with Altitude After Dark?
I don't know. I feel like I kicked D-Mac off his own YouTube channel.
I'm still seeing DMAC on and Sanford on our Twitter. I'm seeing us on our Twitter, or X. I hate that name, X.
Okay, so you can have multiple going on at the same time. All right, whatever.
I would think, dude, you can do 2 chicks at the same time. You can do 2 streams at the same time. Come on. 2 streams at the same time. If I had $1 million, you want to know what I would do? I would do 2 streams at the same time. That's an Office Space reference. Ross, have you seen Office Space?
I have. I haven't seen it in years, man.
Well, it's one of the best lines from my
Office Space quote library is held to "Have you seen my stapler?"
Okay. I mean, mine is definitely 2 chicks at the same time is my favorite line. But I think
bring me back to what you said about Minnesota.
Oh, it was a bunch of generalities. But Minnesota's banged up, and the Avs are now. I don't think this is updated here. I think it's 3 points. Yeah, now it's updated. 3 points back behind Minnesota in the standings. Kaprizov might not make this road trip for Minnesota coming up. They've been without him for a hot second. No Brock Faber, and that's you talk about dealing with injuries. The Avs know that story. The Avs know that. So Minnesota, it could be a little bit of a tough one coming up here as. The Avs, they got the 4-point swing of their own tonight, albeit with a banged up Wild team. And then, if the Avs can stay healthy, man, the more nights Blackwood is in net, the better. Then the more points that are going to come the Avs' way coming up here, and they're going to pass Minnesota in the standings. They're just going to, with how banged up Minnesota is.
Yeah, it's a team that was healthier tonight than I thought they were going to be. They had Philip Gustafsson in net. They had Marc-Andre Fleury ready to play. There were reports out there by Michael Russo, who's the big beat writer out there for the Wild. I think he's with the Athletic now. He's bounced around a few outlets, but I think he's with the Athletic. And Russo said there was a decent chance this morning that the goaltender that they called up from Iowa got injured yesterday, and they didn't have enough time to call up another goalie from Iowa because, and get this, he was going to be too expensive. It was going to be a cap issue. There was a good chance that we could have seen an emergency backup goaltender not going into a game tonight, but starting an NHL hockey game tonight. Minnesota obviously, scrambles. They put Gustafsson in. Fleury ends up being okay enough to be the backup despite dealing with some illnesses. The score would indicate that Philip Gustafsson didn't play this evening, but as we saw on the graphic on the TVs tonight, the four best goalies in the National Hockey League right now all reside within the Central Division. It's Connor Hellebuck, Mackenzie Blackwood, Philip Gustafsson, and Karel Vejmelka with the Utah Hockey Club. It's a great goaltending division, and Colorado, it kind of showed Goose may have outkicked his coverage at the beginning of the year.
He's had good stretches in his career, but I do think there has been a little outkicking of that coverage for him. And I had seen the stuff going on with Fleury, and when the Avs made it 6-1, I tweeted out, "Put in the E-Bug, I dare you." But then I realized, Fleury is good enough to be the backup tonight, but no way they were going to put him in, given his illness. I guess, hey, there's an E-Bug in every building, right?
Every
on
building.
standby. So the
Yes.
E-Bug was available for Minnesota tonight, but I guess they just let Philip Gustafsson finish that thing, and I guess it didn't really matter. No goals were scored down the stretch. Dude, you cannot win a hockey game when you flub a puck behind your own net like Declan Chisholm did tonight.
Yeesh.
And Ross Colton said, "Thank you very much." I'm surprised that doesn't happen more. You see flub passes from time to time, and how many times do we see defensemen park behind the net on a line change, take their sweet time? I'm surprised we don't see more like non-clean passes. Either way, we got one tonight. Ross Colton said, "I'll take that." And that was your ball game. That was your game-winning goal right there. That actually was the game-winning goal because it was the Avs' second goal of the night. Wild scored one tonight.
And at that point, and I know Zach Bogosian got one just about like a minute and a half later. At that point, when it was 2-0, you kind of went, "Oh, like Colorado just got their 2-0 lead in the second of a back-to-back." And that's the goal, is to get a 2-goal lead early, gas your legs, and then just hold on for dear life. And I thought that's what Colorado did for the majority of the second period, was hold on for dear life. At least in the first 10 minutes, you get Mikko Rantanen's 25th of the year in that second period on the 2-on-2, the wrist shot. I tweeted out, Spring, on 2-on-2s, man, in practice, if you get 10 reps in a 2-on-2 drill and you get 3 shots on goal and like 1 scoring chance, it's a relatively successful 10 rep set of 2-on-2s. 2-on-2s are not supposed to be goal or scoring opportunities. Like it's an easy drill for D-men just to keep you to the outside, make 1 poke check, or allow a very soft shot on net that doesn't really create any scoring opportunities. It changes when Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon are the 2 forwards on a 2-on-2. They made that look so easy. MacKinnon flies through the neutral zone after honestly giving up a really, really good scoring opportunity on the back end. I think it was Bogosian again, where MacKinnon just kind of like left his guy. Kemper comes up with a big time stop, and then they go on a 2-on-2. There's a beautiful zone entry. He takes 2 defenders with him, drops it to Rantanen, and once again, a 50-goal scorer takes a snapshot that only a few guys in the league are going to score on more opportunities than that.
No, Mikko Rantanen had a very good game last night, and he had another very good game tonight. Maybe the sense of urgency of that contract is starting to get into his head. He's like, "Man, if I want to make $14 million a year, I got to have a $14 million performance," and that was a $14 million shot. Well, really, it was a $12.5 million shot. That's what you're really worth, Mikko. That was a great shot. That's a great shot. And yeah, I mean, those two, that's a 2-man game right there. That's MacKinnon, that's Rantanen, that's Space. And those shots from both those dudes are lethal. They are dangerous. And it's funny because Mikko scored that goal a couple shifts after the Wild thought maybe a tripping in the corner should have been called. I think it was on Juuso Parssinen. was not called. But I think if you're the Wild, you can rest easy tonight. I mean, the Avs put 3 on you after that. That was not by any means the difference in this game. Parker Kelly scores the Arturi Lehkonen shorthanded goal. Josh Manson activating on a kill offensively, showing some legs. Great finish by Lehkonen, and they did not take their foot off the gas tonight, and I love to see that as well, especially coming off of a loss to a bad team in Chicago.
Yeah, it was something that I kind of expected. I didn't expect 6-1, but I expected a really good bounce back. I kind of expected them to win. I didn't expect them to hammer a Minnesota team that was honestly as healthy as they were tonight. Again, I mentioned you didn't know if they were going to have Zach or Middleton on the ice tonight. You didn't know if they were going to have either one of their number 1 or number 2 netminders. Obviously, Kaprizov doesn't play, but they were healthier than you expected them to be. And Colorado took full advantage of maybe some tired legs due to some illnesses. And I know those, the flu's going around the entire country. It's not just here in Denver. It's not just Nikola Jokic that has it. It seems like it's everywhere right now. But Mikko Rantanen he's stepping up in a big way. He's now just the second Avs player in history to record 5 straight 25-goal seasons. Joe Sakic did it in 9 straight years from 97 to 2007. Mikko has now done it in 5 consecutive years. Nathan McKinnon has his 20th multi-point game of the season. There's only two other players in the league right now that have that many multi-point games. That's Mitch Marner and Leon Draisaitl. They're starting to hit right now. And I'm waiting for Mackenzie Blackwood's numbers to trickle in. But prior to tonight's game, we knew that he was 7-1-1 in 8 starts, 10 games played. He is now improved to 8-1-1 in those games. His save percentage will go up. His goals against average will go down. And as I'm looking at it right now, I thought it was going to be one of the best goalie performances over a 10-game stretch that we've seen. We saw some amazing, and I mean amazing performances spring out of Philip Grubauer. Do you remember? Philip Grubauer had a stretch of 10 games back in 2021, 2022. Sorry, 2020, 2021, where he went 9-1 with a 9.59 save percentage and a 9.2, let me find this, and a 0.92 goals against average. Is that right? Yeah, 0.92 goals against average. That's the greatest 10-game stretch in Avalanche history. And I thought
Patrick Watt. That's an Avalanche. Philip Grubauer owns the best 10-game stretch in Avalanche history.
I'm looking at my stats right now. I had the guys at NHL Stats help me out with this. Grubauer holds the 4 best goals against averages over a 10-game stretch. And granted, some of these do overlap on each other. So like one 10-game stretch can be from like games 1 to 10, and then the next one could be from games 2 to 11, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Correct.
Sure.
So I'm looking at these numbers right now. There is what let's call March of 2021. He averaged a goals against average of 1.07 and a save percentage somewhere in between 9.52 and 9.56. That is the best 10-game stretch in Avalanche history. Yes, better than Patrick Waugh. Yes, better than Darcy Kemper back in 2021, 2022, when he had a really good stretch in February. Blackwood's actually nowhere near that. And I look at this Blackwood stretch, and I'm going, like, how do you get better than that?
Well, I think, look, Philip Grubauer had his moments. Say he was a good goalie for the Avs for a period. Sometimes the numbers don't tell the whole story. And I'm telling you, man, my eyes tell me that Mackenzie Blackwood is the best goaltender that the Avs have had in this window of theirs. Better than Grubauer, better than Kemper. It wasn't even close tonight. The Wild weren't even close to scoring on Mackenzie Blackwood. The one goal they score, Calvin DeHaan falls down. I think he kind of gets his skates tangled up with a Wild player. Whatever. All the goals that Mackenzie have allowed have not been close to the Georgiev variety, where you're like, damn, dude, you got to make that save. At least, the ones Blackwood lets in, you're like, okay, I get it. The defensive breakdown tonight and the one-time look that Eriksson Ek got, blocker save Blackwood. Eriksson Ek had a chance on a power play late in that game. Blackwood just a stone wall there in the crease with bodies everywhere. Wasn't to be moved or pushed backwards at all. He is owning the crease right now. He has the size, he has the frame, he has the movement, and it's no surprise, really, that they're able to win with Blackwood and not Trent Miner, last night. I mean, it's just a night and day difference. I think the team feels it. Anytime Mackenzie Blackwood is in net, that team has an added boost of confidence because of the way he has played this season.
Without a doubt. And I'm going to look into those numbers a little bit closer. I literally just got them like as the game ended. So it's this huge data set of 10 game stretches. I'm going to try and find a way to like parse it down and see exactly where Mackenzie sits in, but he's going to be among some of the greatest stretches that we've ever seen, not only just with Kemper and Grubauer and Varlamov in recent memory, but certainly going back to what is the heyday of Avs goaltending in Patrick Waugh. The team plays better with him in front. It is already looking like one of the biggest steals in the league, this contract extension that they immediately inked him to. It looks phenomenal, Spring, and the team has now turned a corner. I loved seeing Jonathan Drouin back in the lineup. That's a guy that I know we keep talking about, like he might be a cap casualty next year, depending on what Rantanen's number is going to be and depending on what happens with Gabe Landeskog. I hope he finds a way to sign a team-friendly long-term deal, because I don't see how he's going to have sustained success better in the league than right here in Colorado.
I mean, I could say the same thing almost about Mikko Rantanen in a way, but I mean,
rightfully so.
Yeah. I wonder what Mikko would look like away from Nate. How would Drouin look away from Nate? How would so many players look away from Nate? Drouin, having him back tonight was very important, and there was a lot of blending tonight. Drouin got run with Kiviranta Kiviranta and O'Connor tonight. I don't know. I wonder if there's a little bit of a lack of trust in Casey Middlestat right now, where Juuso Parsonen's getting top six run, trying to slot guys in with Kelly, Kiviranta, O'Connor, that third line that has been so good, because they have a true top six right now. As long as Drouin is in the lineup, which he wasn't tonight, but he is tonight, since Val has been out, they have a true top six in McKinnon, Rantanen, Drouin, Lehkonen, Colton, Middlestat. But right now, I wonder if some of the lack of confidence in Middlestat is, now we're seeing Juuso Parssinen come up a little bit. You're seeing trying to work guys in with that third line. I wonder if this is all centered around the play of Casey Middlestat right now, who was a +2 tonight, and he played in his hometown. I think this was his home state. This is his 400th career game tonight. And he was good, but I would love to see Casey assert himself for when Nichushkin is back as the second line center. That is the role that he is supposed to be in firmly. Everyone else in the top six right now, I'm digging. He's the one that I have questions about.
Yeah, they got to find a way to get him going. What is good, though, is that those other guys are stepping up. And Ross Colton's ability to continue to find the score sheet since he came back, and I know he was scoring at a clip that he'd never seen in his career prior to the injury, Colton's ability to fit into that top 6 right now gives you time to figure out what's happening with Casey Middlestat. And it also doesn't really matter, right? Because like if you throw Casey down on the third line and Colton bumps up to your second, or Colton's being the scoring option on that third line if he plays on the wing with Casey Middlestat, you're still getting your value, right? You're still getting your money because as of right now, Ross Colton is paid to be a third line center. As of right now, Casey Middlestat is paid to be a second line center. If you just flip-flop those two guys, you're still getting your value as long as the team's winning and you're getting production. You're getting production out of one, the other one not so much. You know what might be perfect for him? This Four Nations tournament, the Four Nations face-off might be perfect for Casey Middlestat. Step away from the game for 2 weeks, chill out, relax. We'll see you back in March.
When is the Four Nations? That's in February, right?
Four Nations is the first 2 full weeks in February, I believe.
Okay.
So, yeah, it starts here. Let me, I've got it right in front of me right now. The Avs play their final game on Friday, February 7 at the Edmonton Oilers. And then from the 8th to the 22nd, the Avs are off, and you'll play the Four Nations face-off between the 8th and the 22nd.
Well, you got to think that, because there were reports initially that Val Nichushkin could have joined the Avs or flown with the Avs on this little 3-game road trip, and now we're through 2. They'll play Winnipeg on Saturday night. So when the Avs come home for a Tuesday night matchup with the New York Rangers, Val, like that's when the clock can start ticking on Val. Val could be back as soon as Tuesday. So hey, look, again, the Avs are filled with good problems to have right now. If a problem is that Casey Middlestat, a guy that you're paying, that you traded Bo Byram and that I was excited about, that you were excited about, Raj, that has a boatload of potential that we've seen flashes from, certainly in the first stage of this season. If the problem is that, you're paying him a lot to be on your third or fourth line, so be it. Your eyes just lit up. What has happened, Raj? Uh-oh.
Did you just see what just happened in the college football playoff?
I see you showing me Drew Aller with his hands on his head.
Drew Aller just threw a pick that might end the season for the Nittany Lions.
Good. I had Notre Dame tonight. Good.
With under 45 seconds to go in the game, Drew Aller steps back, throws off of his back foot on his own 30, throws a pick on the Penn State 42. Notre Dame takes over with 33 seconds, I believe, on the Penn State side of the 50-yard line. That was a terrible decision. A terrible decision. It's being reviewed right now. I think that's a pick, man. Notre Dame's going to come out on top of this thing. I'm looking at it right now. It's a diving catch. That's a pick. That was a horrendous decision. Decision.
Good, because the third period of this Avs game was it was over. So I think many of us, at least on a second screen or something, were watching Penn State Notre Dame. And dude, I tell you, that pass interference call on Notre Dame, they had Aller intercepted in the end zone a couple drives ago, just before we got on the air. Let's see. That looked like a pick to me. I don't see the ball hitting the turf there.
That's a pick. Yeah, and they end up getting a defensive holding call that turns it back on another terrible throw.
And I didn't love that. I mean, I guess by the letter of the law that was defensive pass interference, but I thought it was lame. I thought that the Notre Dame defender who actually made the pick, like the little contact behind with Tyler Warren, the very good tight end for Penn State, to me was irrelevant to the play. I thought it was a little screwy to me. So justice. I love it when justice is served. We saw the Avs get some justice served in the Buffalo game. Justice served here tonight in the Notre Dame Penn State game.
Without a doubt, they're out of field goal position right now. But again, 1st and 10 on the Penn State 42-yard line as the Irish look to find a way to get into field goal position. Leonard scrambles up the middle for about 6 or 7 yards. 28 seconds to go. Penn State calls a timeout. this is they've got a chance, man. That would be a pick that could define Drew Aller's career, right? That's the one, because he was so highly touted out of high school, and it always seems that those super high Penn State quarterback recruits fail at the biggest moments.
Gosh, now I'm trying to think of some Penn State quarterbacks because they all fell off the face of the earth, like Christian Hackenberg. God, those guys. I hate Penn State. I don't like Notre Dame much either. This was a battle of two evils tonight. My hand was forced. I went with Notre Dame.
Let me look at your Penn State quarterbacks. How can I find this by year? Wikipedia doesn't have this for me. What are we doing? Just give me a list of Nittany Lion quarterbacks of all time. That's all I want to see. And I don't want to see the best ones ever. I just want to see them year by year. Like I want to know, like, when Matt McGloin played.
I didn't realize Will Levis started at Penn State.
Will Levis was a Nittany Lion?
Yeah, he's a Kentucky guy to me. Sean Clifford, Trace McSorley.
Trace McSorley is one of the ones I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Matt McGloin. I mentioned Hackenberg. It's a bad list of quarterbacks. You got to go all the way back to Kerry Collins.
I cannot believe he threw that football. We were talking about hockey a couple of seconds ago, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. But it's just a dominating win for the Avs, and a little unfortunate for them because just recent injuries to Jonas Brodin and Brock Faber. Kaprizov had been out, illnesses going around the Wild. Even the second night of a back-to-back couldn't save him tonight. And especially, like, the decision to save Blackwood for night 2 ended up paying off. Like, there was a world where they should have started him last night in Chicago to ensure the 2 points. And
I don't even think they win last night in Chicago if they start Mackenzie Blackwood. I still think they lose the hockey game.
Well, we talked about it last night, and I don't disagree. I do wonder about just their getup. They skate. It's like Blackwood gives them belief. The best when the Avs have won of late, the comeback in Buffalo, the home win on Monday night against Florida, and tonight against Minnesota, they skated their asses off. They won it. You could see it. And this has always been a theme with this Avs team in recent years. And the Montreal loss and the Chicago loss, while I thought they played well, you can see it. Like, that's like, you can't get away with it when you're the Avs because you're so fast and you're so talented that when you are not bringing your A game, it sticks out like a sore thumb. When you are
really does.
When you are not skating to your max, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So it's sometimes just a want to, man. And I think Florida, they got up for the reigning champs. They got up for a division rival that was ahead of them in the standings tonight. Buffalo at home, that's just a weird one. They just wanted that comeback. And then there was a letdown against Montreal. There was a letdown against Chicago. You can see it with this team when they skate hard and when they don't.
You certainly can. It's just so weird that it always comes against a team like Chicago. Like, it's so weird that the Chicago Blackhawks are that weird bugaboo team for them that always finds a way to jump, because they're different than what's now the Utah Hockey Club. They're different than Arizona, because I've always thought that Arizona has had more talent, has had more grit, has been better structured, and certainly has had better goaltending over the last 5 or so years. Arizona, whenever they beat Colorado, I kind of looked at it and went, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. When Chicago jumps up and bites them, I go, what in the holy hell happened? Because I've watched like 10 Blackhawks games this year, outside of the Avs 2 games that they played against them.
Mm-hmm.
They're horrible.
Mm-hmm.
They're really bad. And for some reason, the Avs just, like, even when they don't show up, because there's a lot of teams that don't show up to play the Blackhawks and still skate away with like a 5-2 win. Not the Avs.
Maybe it's their goal song. Maybe the second they hear that, they're like, "Get me the hell out of here." Maybe it's, years ago when you'd go to Chicago and it was Kane and Taves and their prime, and those were always tough. And the Avs always struggled on the road in Chicago during that dynasty era. There's just a bad feel when they go into that building and they don't realize, yo, dudes, that they're gone. that era is dead, but they can still feel it when they're in that building for whatever
Yep.
reason. I mean, McKinnon played against those dudes many times in their heyday. I don't know what it is. But yeah, it's just, and maybe it's just Peter Mrazek too. I would love to see the Blackhawks start a goalie not named Peter Mrazek against the Avs, because Mrazek, this goes back beyond his Blackhawks days. He has an Avs elixir to him for whatever reason.
It's so true. Spring, did you know this? The Avs have now improved to 11-0-1 when leading after the first period. They are also 17-0-1 when leading after two. If you add in tied after two periods, the Avs have now improved to 22-0-1 on the season when they have at least a share of the lead after 40 minutes of play. The hold is down. The kick is up. The kick is good with 8 seconds to go. Notre Dame takes a 3-point lead in the Orange Bowl in the semifinal. Penn State shoots themselves in the foot. He barely snuck that one in on the right ups, or the right side of the right upright, man. That was unbelievable. I can't believe it. Penn State did it again. Penn State choked again in a big moment.
One reason I like Notre Dame over Penn State was the head coaching matchup. Marcus Freeman versus James Franklin. James Franklin at Penn State has not seemed to be able to win the big game. And I assure you, there will be questions about whether or not, and I like James Franklin. I do think overall he's a good coach. But at a certain point, they're going to ask themselves, is this the guy that we think can really take us over the mountaintop? And conversely, I think Marcus Freeman is a young coaching stud. I like the guy. So, man, that's a bad collapse for James Franklin and Penn State.
Great question for a guy as young as Freeman is, because right, isn't he 38 or 39
He's
right
young,
now, something like
young,
that?
Yeah.
Because of where he is. Do you make a jump to the NFL in a few years? Like if they get it done, let's say Notre Dame wins national championship this year and they're in the conversation for the next year or two, and the NFL starts calling because of where he is and how young he is and how much money is at Notre Dame and how much money is going into college football. Wouldn't that make sense? Like there's only a couple of jobs, and actually that might be the only job that if you get it that young, stay there for 30 years. Screw the NFL.
I think his name was brought up a couple weeks ago in connection to maybe the Bears job. But yeah, no, he could absolutely make that jump at some point. But yeah, like you said, college football isn't what it once was. You know, with the moving parts, the ability to have sustained success is so difficult that if you have an opportunity to jump to the NFL, you do it. Deion Sanders. Is that an exception to the rule? I don't know. But nowadays, I think if you can get to the NFL, you can, where there's more stability. There's more certainty, at least with how the game is played, with the rules and the navigation. It's just more clarity than in college football. That is wild, wild west like right now.
All right, Spring. Avs get a big 6-1 victory as we wrap it up here. I just wanted to wait until the end of this this Nittany Lions and Irish game. Final play is a hook and ladder for Penn State, but they're going to try and throw this thing around the field. It's toast. Aller throws it out the left sideline, and that's it for the semifinal. Notre Dame's going to the college football national championship. But we have a Winnipeg and Avs game coming up on Saturday at 5 p.m. I said that the Avs' biggest test to date was Florida at home a couple of games ago. Does this game trump it?
Let's see if Winnipeg, because last time the Avs played Winnipeg had played the night before. Damn it, it's going to happen again.
It's another back-to-back?
I don't want any excuses.
Stop it.
Winnipeg's playing Friday night.
Yeah.
But it's at home. They'll get to go sleep. They're staying at home. They don't get to get on a plane or anything. And they played.
Look at this homestand that they're on.
They're on a while. Dude, how long is this homestand? My God.
5, 6. It's an 8-game homestand.
I don't know if I've an 8-game homestand that Winnipeg is on.
And the only game that they played away from home in the last 11. So 10 of their last 11 games have been at home. The only one they played away was New Year's Eve here in Colorado.
Yo,
What is that?
That's interesting too, because now I'm looking ahead on Winnipeg's schedule, and I'm like, surely I got to see a lot of a lot of road games, and there appears to be. So that's another thing, in this Avs chase for the Central Division is Winnipeg is going to be playing on the road a lot to finish the season because of how damn much they're playing at home right now. They last played last night. They beat, 2 nights ago, Tuesday night. They beat Nashville. Whoop-de-doo. They had lost at home before that to start their 8-game homestand. They lost to Anaheim in overtime. They lost to Detroit. Those are two of the weaker teams in the league, decent young teams, but still two of the weaker teams in the league. They got right against Nashville. Nashville's had a terrible season. They'll play the Kings on Friday night at home, and then the Avs on Saturday at home. So do they start Hellebuck? I would assume, based on what they've shown, is they're going to start Hellebuck on Friday night against the Kings, and then we'll see Eric Comrie again on Saturday when the Avs go to Winnipeg.
So this is the first of the final 2 regular season meetings between the Avs and the Jets. The only other one that they have is not a back-to-back. It'll be Utah and then Colorado for Winnipeg. So there's a chance that we see Hellebuck. Like if we don't get to see him on Saturday, you'll see Hellebuck then. It would be very interesting if Winnipeg hides Connor Hellebuck from the Avalanche the entire regular season, and then the first time that he has to face that demon, that skeleton in his closet, would be in a playoff matchup.
Yeah, we know no matter what, though, barring some dumb thing happening, I won't even speculate. The Mackenzie Blackwood will start on Saturday night. Like that is all but confirmed that Blackwood will start on Saturday night, given that the Avs will have a night off and they're playing the team that's leading the Central Division. If the Kings can go into Winnipeg and prevent the Jets from getting even a single point, and that's very possible. LA's got 51 points. They're third in the Pacific. They're on a 4-game winning streak. If the Kings can prevent the Jets from getting a point on their home ice, and the Avs get both points, no overtime, they win in regulation, the Avs will be 3 points back of Winnipeg. 3 points back of Winnipeg.
Just like that. Spring, that'll do it for us tonight and for all of us watching on YouTube and on Twitch and on X as well. We appreciate you guys as always, our friends at Safeway. Enjoy your Thursday evening. We will talk to you guys on Saturday. We'll be on air sometime around 8 p.m. Or so. We'll talk a little Broncos football as well, get you guys ready for the 11 a.m. kickoff between the Broncos and the Bills. We're going to be out there live at number 38 in Denver. Myself, Mike Sanford, DMAC, and a host of other altitude talent out there at number 38. Their doors open at 10. We will be on air at 9 a.m. going until 11. DMAC's going to hang out and watch the game there as well. So make sure you guys are there if you don't have any other plans to watch the Broncos game. Spring, good win. We'll see you on Saturday.
See you on Saturday. Go Avs.